The Great Hall of Nexera Prime was the most beautiful place in the known galaxy. Its walls were made of living crystal that sang soft melodies when light passed through them. The ceiling stretched so high that clouds formed inside the chamber. Representatives from 47 spacefaring civilizations had gathered here for thousands of years to decide the fate of worlds. Today, they had gathered to destroy humanity. High Arbiter Velthon stood at the center of the hall. He was a Korathi, a species that looked like a mixture of insect and reptile. His forearms were folded across his armored chest. His compound eyes reflected the light of 100 stars projected on the chamber walls. When he spoke, his mandibles clicked together in a rhythm that translators converted to words. The species known as humans has violated 17 articles of the Expansion Accords, he announced. His voice echoed through the massive chamber. They have colonized the Erebus sector without permission. They have ignored 14 warnings. They have shown disrespect to this council. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembled aliens. Some nodded their heads. Others waved tentacles or flashed colors of approval across their skin. At the defendant's podium, a single human woman stood alone. Her name was Elena Vasquez. She was Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council. She was 53 years old, with gray streaks in her dark hair and lines around her eyes that spoke of many difficult years. She wore a simple blue suit, the official uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. She looked very small, surrounded by creatures 3 times her size. The punishment for these violations is clear, Velthon continued. Military correction. The Korathi Dominion has requested the honor of leading the correction fleet. 200 warships will proceed to human space. All illegal colonies will be destroyed. Earth will surrender unconditionally or face the consequences. Elena's expression did not change. She had known this was coming for months. The council had made their decision long before this trial began. This was just theater, a show of legitimacy before they unleashed their warships. Does the human representative wish to speak? Velthon asked. There was mockery in his voice. What could one primitive human possibly say to change the minds of 47 advanced civilizations? Elena stepped forward. The crystal floor amplified her footsteps, making them ring through the chamber. I do, she said. Her voice was calm and clear. I want to thank the council for this opportunity to address you. Soft laughter echoed from several delegations. The Vrix ambassador, a being made of living gas contained in a mechanical suit, let out a sound like steam escaping a pipe. The Thornaki delegation, a group of tall plant-like creatures, rustled their leaves in amusement. Elena ignored them all. Humanity is young, she continued. We have been traveling among the stars for only 200 years. In that time, we have made mistakes. We have stepped on toes. We have broken rules we did not fully understand. She paused and looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of as many delegates as she could. But we have also learned. We have watched. We have studied every species in this council. We know your histories. We know your cultures. We know your capabilities. Something in her tone made Velthon's antennae twitch. There was no fear in this human's voice. There should have been fear. Every species that had faced Korathi correction had begged for mercy by this point. You have given us 12 rotations to evacuate our civilians, Elena said. We thank you for your courtesy. But I must tell you something, High Arbiter. She smiled. It was a small smile, barely visible. But something about it made several delegates shift uncomfortably in their seats. We will not need 12 rotations. We will not need 12 hours. But thank you anyway. Silence fell over the chamber. Then, like a wave breaking, laughter erupted from every corner. The Korathi delegation clicked their mandibles in amusement. The Tharnaki shook with what passed for mirth among their kind. Even the normally stoic Geller, beings of pure crystal, vibrated with humor. "The human thinks she is clever," Belthon said, his voice dripping with contempt. "Let me explain something to you, Ambassador. We have studied your species as well. Your fleet numbers perhaps 40 vessels. Ours numbers 200, each one carrying weapons that could crack your planet in half. Your ships are slow. Your weapons are primitive. Your species cannot even communicate mind to mind like civilized beings." He leaned forward, his compound eyes boring into Elena. "Our military analysts have calculated the duration of this war. 6 hours. That is how long your species will last against us. 6 hours from the first shot to your complete surrender." Elena nodded slowly. "Your analysts are very thorough," she said. "I have read their reports. They are quite detailed about the capabilities of our defense fleet. Then you understand your situation." "I understand many things. High Arbiter." Elena turned to leave, her heels clicking against the crystal floor. She paused at the doorway and looked back over her shoulder. "I wonder if you understand yours." Then she was gone. The chamber erupted in noise. Delegates shouted their approval of the coming war. Bets were placed on exactly how quickly humanity would fall. The Korathi delegation began planning their victory celebration. No one noticed that Elena had stopped in the corridor outside. No one saw her pull a small device from her pocket. No one observed the quantum-encrypted transmission she sent, a burst of data that traveled faster than light to a destination on the far side of human space. The message was simple. 3 words that would change the galaxy forever. Begin Phase 1. 12,000 light-years away. In a hidden facility buried deep beneath the ice of a frozen moon, Admiral Sarah Chun received the message. She was a woman of 60 years, with iron-gray hair cut short and eyes that had seen too many battles. She read the 3 words on her screen and allowed herself a single grim smile. "They took the bait," she said to the officers gathered around her. "The Council has declared war. How long until the Korathi fleet launches?" Her second-in-command asked. 12 rotations. About 10 Earth days. More than enough time. Admiral Chun nodded. She turned to face a massive display screen that showed the positions of ships scattered across a dozen star systems. Ships that did not appear on any official record. Ships that had been built in secret over 50 years. Ships that the Council did not know existed. "Humanity has waited 200 years for this moment," she said. "We came to the stars hoping for friendship. We found only contempt. They see us as primitives. As children. As prey." She pressed a button, and the display zoomed out to show the positions of every Council homeworld. "It is time to show them what we really are." The greatest war in galactic history was about to begin, and the Council had no idea that they had already lost. Admiral Kethvorin had conquered 11 species in his 3,000 years of service. He had commanded fleets that burned worlds and shattered civilizations. His name was spoken with fear across 100 star systems. He was the greatest military commander the Korathi Dominion had ever produced. Now, he stood on the bridge of the Eternal Judgment, the mightiest warship in the galaxy, and reviewed the intelligence reports on his next target, humanity. "Pathetic," he muttered, scrolling through the data on his display screen. "Absolutely pathetic." His senior strategist, a younger Korathi named Sevtal, stood beside him. "The analysis is complete, Admiral. Human military capability is minimal. Show me." Sevtal activated a holographic display. Images of human warships appeared in the air between them. They were ugly things, blocky and graceless. No elegant curves. No flowing lines. Just metal boxes with engines attached. "Their largest vessel is approximately 1/3 the size of the Eternal Judgment," Sevtal explained. Their weapons are primitive. Kinetic projectiles, chemical explosives, basic fusion warheads. Nothing that can penetrate our shields. Speed? Their fastest ships can achieve roughly 60% of our cruising velocity. They cannot outrun us. They cannot catch us. In any engagement, we control the distance. Admiral Kethvorin studied the images with growing contempt. How had these creatures ever reached the stars? They were barely more advanced than animals. What about their numbers? Our intelligence indicates 42 combat vessels. Perhaps 50 if we include their older ships. Against our 200. Sevtal made a gesture that indicated the outcome was obvious. 6 hours, Kethvorin said. That is what the Council predicted. I think they are being generous. He waved his hand, and the display changed to show a diagram of human brain structure. This was what fascinated him most about these creatures. Not their ships or weapons, but their minds. They have no neural link capability, he said, almost in wonder. No hive coordination. No collective consciousness. Each human thinks completely alone. It is their greatest weakness, Sevtal agreed. Their ships cannot coordinate properly. Each captain makes independent decisions. There is no unified tactical awareness. Among the Korathi, and indeed among most advanced species, warfare was conducted through mental links. Every ship in a fleet shared consciousness with every other ship. When an admiral made a decision, every captain knew it instantly. When one ship saw an enemy, all ships saw it. The fleet moved as one organism, perfectly synchronized. Humans had none of this. They communicated through radio waves, slow electromagnetic signals that took precious seconds to travel between ships. Their captains had to talk to each other using words. They had to explain their plans, argue about tactics, and hope everyone understood Dot to the Korathi. This seemed like trying to fight with one arm tied behind your back while blindfolded. I have studied recordings of human military exercises, Sevtal continued. Their coordination is chaotic. Captains frequently disagree with each other. Sometimes they even disobey direct orders if they believe they have a better idea. Madness, Kethvorin said. How can any species fight effectively when each warrior thinks only of themselves? They cannot. That is why this war will be short. The Admiral nodded with satisfaction. He turned to look out the massive viewport at the front of the bridge. 200 Korathi warships hung in formation around the Eternal Judgment, arranged in perfect geometric patterns. Every ship knew its place. Every captain was linked to his mind. When he gave an order, it would be executed instantly by every vessel simultaneously. This was how civilized species made war. With precision, with unity, with overwhelming force applied at exactly the right moment. The humans would face this perfect machine with their collection of independent ships and arguing captains. It would be like watching insects try to fight a forest fire got far across the galaxy. In the command center of Earth's official defense fleet, Admiral James Morrison was having a very different kind of meeting. "This is insane," Captain Rodriguez shouted, slamming his fist on the table. "You want us to scatter? Against a force 5 times our size?" "That is exactly what I want," Morrison replied calmly. "Standard doctrine says we concentrate our forces. We make them pay for every inch." Standard doctrine will get us killed in 30 minutes, Morrison interrupted. "The Korathi expect us to form a defensive line around Earth. They have planned for that. They have tactics designed to break exactly that kind of formation." Captain Wong leaned forward. "So we do something unexpected. We do something they cannot understand," Morrison said. "The Korathi think with one mind. Their entire military strategy is based on unified consciousness. Every tactic they have ever developed assumes the enemy will also fight as a unified force." He activated a holographic display showing the solar system. Small dots representing Earth's ships began moving outward, spreading in every direction. We are going to give them 42 separate enemies. Each ship will operate independently. Each captain will make their own decisions. No central coordination. No unified command. That is chaos, Rodriguez protested. Exactly, Morrison smiled. And the Korathi have no idea how to fight chaos. In her hidden command center, Admiral Sarah Chun watched the same briefing through a secure feed. Morrison was playing his part perfectly. The official fleet would scatter, drawing the Korathi attention, making them think they understood humanity's desperate strategy. They would never suspect the truth. The official fleet was a distraction, a sacrifice. 42 ships meant to die while the real war was won elsewhere. Chun turned to her own display, showing the positions of the strategic expeditionary fleet. 300 vessels hidden in the darkness between stars. Ships built in secret. Crews trained in shadows. Technology that no alien had ever seen. The Korathi think they understand us, she said softly. They have studied our public fleet. They have analyzed our known capabilities. They believe we are primitive. She zoomed the display out further, showing not just human space, but the entire galaxy. Red markers indicated the homeworlds of every species on the Galactic Council. They do not know that we have been studying them for 100 years. They do not know that we have ships positioned at every one of their homeworlds. They do not know that this war was over before it began. The Korathi Correction Fleet was preparing to jump to human space, confident in their superiority. 200 warships crewed by warriors who had never known defeat. A force that had crushed 11 civilizations. They were sailing into a trap that had been prepared for 50 years, and they had no idea. Admiral Kethvorin gave the order. Space twisted around his fleet as 200 ships jumped to hyperspace, racing toward what they believed would be an easy victory. Behind them, in the darkness they had just left, a human stealth ship watched them go. It had been there for 3 years, monitoring, recording, transmitting everything it observed. The correction fleet has departed, the ship's captain reported. Right on schedule. Understood, came the reply from Admiral Chun. Begin Phase 2. The trap was closing, and the Korathi were about to learn that the most dangerous thing in the galaxy was not a species that thought as one mind dot. It was a species where every individual could think for themselves. The Korathi Correction Fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol System. 200 warships emerged from twisted space in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming under the light of humanity's home star. It was the largest military force ever sent against a single species. Admiral Kethvorin stood at the center of his bridge, compound eyes scanning the tactical display. His consciousness was linked to every ship in the fleet. He could feel the readiness of his warriors, the hum of charged weapons, the eagerness for battle. Report, he commanded. All ships have arrived, his tactical officer announced. Formation is perfect. Weapons are charged. Shields are at full power. And the humans? There was a pause. The tactical officer's antennae twitched with confusion. Admiral, we are not detecting any concentrated human forces. Explain. Their defense fleet is not here. They have not formed a defensive line around Earth as expected. Instead, we are detecting human vessels scattered throughout the system. Individual ships hiding in asteroid fields, behind moons, inside the atmospheres of gas giants. They are everywhere and nowhere. Kethvorin felt a flicker of annoyance through the neural link. This was not what he had planned for. Every battle simulation, every tactical analysis, had assumed the humans would gather their forces to protect their homeworld. That was what any rational species would do. They have dispersed, he said slowly. They think hiding will save them. It appears so, Admiral. Our sensors are tracking. 37 individual human ships spread across millions of kilometers. Fools. Keth Voren allowed himself a moment of contempt. They have divided their already pathetic force into pieces. We will crush them one by one. He began issuing orders through the neural link. Destroyer squadrons would hunt down the scattered human ships. The main fleet would proceed directly to Earth, without their navy to protect them. The humans would have no choice but to surrender. The great fleet began to move, splitting into hunting groups that spread across the solar system like predators searching for prey. It was exactly what the humans wanted them to do. Captain Maria Santos sat in the command chair of the Earthship Defiance. Her vessel was hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. For 3 days, she and her crew had waited in darkness, systems running on minimal power, barely breathing. Now, through her passive sensors, she watched a squadron of Korathi destroyers pass within 50,000 kilometers of her position. They had no idea she was there. "Captain," her weapons officer whispered, "I have firing solutions on the lead destroyer." "Not yet. But, Captain, we follow the plan. We wait for their main fleet to commit. Then we hit them from every direction at once." This was the part the Korathi could not understand. Human ships were not running away. They were not hiding in fear. They were positioning themselves for an ambush that would come from 40 different directions. Simultaneously, Santos watched her tactical display. Across the solar system, other human captains were doing the same thing. Each one waiting. Each one choosing their own moment. Each one trusting that their fellow captains would do their part without any central coordination. It was the most terrifying and exhilarating thing she had ever experienced. The Korathi main fleet reached Earth orbit without encountering resistance. Admiral Keth Voren looked down at the blue and green world below him, its surface crawling with billions of primitive humans. They would soon learn the cost of defying the Galactic Council. "Broadcast the surrender demand," he ordered. Before the message could be sent, an alarm shrieked through the neural link. "Admiral, missiles incoming. Source? Unknown. We cannot determine multiple sources. Missiles are coming from everywhere." Keth Voren spun to face the tactical display. Red dots were appearing across the screen. Not from one direction, but from dozens. Missiles were launching from asteroids, from debris fields, from what had been classified as dead satellites. "Those are not military vessels," he said, disbelief creeping into his voice. "Those are rocks." "How are rocks firing missiles?" "The humans hid launch platforms inside the asteroids. They have been positioning them for months. The first missiles struck. They were simple weapons, nuclear warheads mounted on fast rockets. The Korathi shields should have stopped them easily. They did not. The lead destroyer's shields collapsed. The ship shattered, its hull ripping apart in a cascade of explosions. "Impossible," Keth Voren shouted. "How did they penetrate our shields?" His science officer's hands were shaking as she analyzed the wreckage. "Admiral, the warheads were modified. They emit a specific frequency that matches the harmonic resonance of our shield generators. They designed these weapons specifically to kill us. They have had our shield specifications for less than one standard cycle. They must have been studying our technology for much longer. Years, decades." Through the neural link, Keth Voren felt panic spreading through his fleet. Ships that had never known fear were suddenly terrified. Their perfect formation was breaking apart as captains instinctively tried to evade the missiles coming from every direction. And then the human ships attacked. Captain Santos had watched the first missiles strike. She had seen the Korathi shields fail. She had felt joy surge through her heart. "Now," she said. The Defiance burst from its asteroid hiding place, engines roaring to full power. Across the solar system, 36 other human ships did the same. They did not attack in formation. They did not coordinate their movements. Each captain chose their own targets and their own approach to the Corythi. It looked like madness. Ships coming from every angle. No pattern. No logic. No way to predict what any single enemy would do next. Santos targeted a Corythi cruiser that was trying to turn toward Earth. Her ship was smaller, weaker, slower. But she had something the Corythi did not have. She could think for herself. "They are turning to port," her tactical officer reported. "Standard Corythi evasive pattern 7. I see it. Helm, adjust course to intercept. Weapons, target their engine section. That is not their weak point. Their reactor is amidships. I know. But their neural link control systems are in the engine section. Kill that, and they cannot coordinate with the rest of the fleet." The Defiance fired. Kinetic rounds tore through the cruiser's engines. The ship did not explode, but Santos could imagine the chaos inside as the crew suddenly found themselves cut off from the collective consciousness of the fleet. They would be blind, confused, terrified. Across the battlefield, human captains were making similar decisions. Each one exploited a different weakness. Each one attacked in a different way. The Corythi fleet, designed to fight as one mind, was being torn apart by enemies who thought as individuals. Admiral Kethvorn stood frozen on his bridge. Through the neural link, he felt his fleet dying. Ships were being destroyed or disabled at a rate he could not process. His tactical officers were screaming reports that contradicted each other. "The humans are not following any recognizable pattern. We cannot predict their movements. Every ship is attacking differently." This was not war. This was chaos. And chaos was something the Corythi had never learned to fight. In the first 30 minutes of battle, the humans lost 11 ships. The Corythi lost 40-3. The correction fleet was being corrected. And deep in space, far from the battle. Admiral Sarah Chun watched the destruction and prepared for Phase 3. The real war was about to begin. The great hall of Nexra Prime had never been so quiet. The living crystal walls still sang their soft melodies, but the representatives of the 47 spacefaring civilizations sat in stunned silence. No one rustled. No one whispered. No one dared to move. Through the transparent ceiling, they could see the human ships hanging in orbit. 60 vessels had appeared from nowhere, their weapons pointed at the most important building in the galaxy. They had not fired. They did not need to. Their presence alone was message enough. High Arbiter Velthon stood at his podium, but he no longer commanded the room. His mandibles trembled. His compound eyes kept darting to the ceiling, to the ships above, to the doom that waited in silence. The doors of the great hall opened. Ambassador Elena Vasquez walked in. She looked exactly as she had 3 days ago, when she had stood at the defendant's podium and accepted the council's death sentence for her species. The same blue suit, the same calm expression, the same quiet dignity, but everything had changed. "Representatives of the Galactic Council," she said, her voice carrying through the chamber. "I bring greetings from the United Earth Government and from Admiral Sarah Chun of our Strategic Expeditionary Force." No one laughed this time. No one mocked. The Vrix ambassador, who had made sounds of amusement at her last appearance, seemed to shrink inside his mechanical suit. The Snaka delegation rustled their leaves, but with fear, not humor. "The war you declared upon humanity lasted 11 hours and 47 minutes, Elena continued. "In that time, we destroyed or disabled 130 Corythi warships. We demonstrated our presence at every council homeworld. We showed you what we are capable of." She paused, letting her gaze sweep across the assembly. "And now we wish to discuss peace." A murmur rippled through the chamber. The Geller representative, a being of living crystal, spoke first. You have defeated us. Why not simply conquer us? Because conquest is not what humanity wants. Elena's voice was patient, like a teacher explaining something to slow students. It has never been what we wanted. We came to the stars hoping to find friends, partners, fellow travelers on the journey through the universe. Instead, you found us, Belthon said bitterly. Instead, we found species who saw us as primitives, who laughed at our requests, who ignored our needs, who voted to destroy us rather than make room for us at your table. She stepped closer to the center of the hall. The crystal floor amplified her footsteps, making each one ring through the chamber like a drumbeat. We could destroy you, she said simply. Right now, I could give an order, and every homeworld represented in this chamber would burn. Your civilizations would end. Your species would be scattered to the cosmic winds. Silence. Absolute silence. Not a single being moved. But that is not who we are. Humanity does not seek to rule others. We do not want slaves or subjects. We want something far more valuable. What? The Geller asked. Respect. The word hung in the air. Such a simple thing. Such a small request. And yet the Council had refused to give it for 200 years. The war is over, Elena continued. We have proven our strength. Now let us build something better together. We propose a new accord, one that treats all species equally, one that allows young civilizations to grow without being crushed by older ones, one that creates true partnership instead of domination. You would forgive us? Velthon's voice was barely a whisper. After what we tried to do, we would move forward. The past cannot be changed. But the future is still being written. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, slowly, the Thornaki elder rose from his seat. His leaves rustled as he bowed toward Elena, a gesture of profound respect among his people. Humanity has shown strength, he said. But now you show wisdom. The Thornaki accept your proposal. One by one, other delegations followed. The Vrix, the Geller, species that had voted for humanity's destruction, now voted for partnership, not because they had to, but because they finally understood that humanity offered something better than conquest. Only Velthon remained standing. His eyes met Elena's across the chamber. The Korathi Dominion has never surrendered, he said. In 3,000 years, we have never bowed to another species. I am not asking you to bow, Elena replied. I am asking you to stand beside us, as equals. Is your pride worth more than your future? The High Arbiter stood motionless for a long moment. Through the ceiling, he could see the human ships still waiting in orbit. He thought of his fleet, broken and scattered in human space. He thought of his homeworld, surrounded by enemies it had never seen coming. He thought of 3,000 years of conquest and where it had led his people. No, he finally said. It is not. He bowed his head. It was the first time a High Arbiter had ever shown submission to another species. The Korathi accept your proposal. We will stand beside humanity as equals in this new accord. Ambassador Vasquez smiled. It was a genuine smile this time, warm and welcoming. Then let us begin. The new Galactic Accord was signed before the day was over. Humanity received full recognition as a spacefaring civilization. They received voting rights on the Council. They received control of the Erebus sector and all their colonies there. They received everything they had asked for 200 years ago. But more importantly, they received something that no species had ever earned from the Council before: fear. And through fear, respect. In the months that followed, stories spread across the galaxy. Traders carried them from system to system. Soldiers whispered them in barracks. Children learned them in schools. The stories told of a species that had been laughed at and dismissed. A species that had hidden its true strength while building a fleet in secret. A species that had waited patiently for the right moment, then struck with devastating precision. They told of ships that appeared from nowhere, of weapons designed to exploit weaknesses the victims never knew they had, of a species that thought not as one mind, but as billions of individual minds, each one capable of creativity and unpredictability. Most of all, they told of the lesson humanity had taught the galaxy. Never mistake kindness for weakness. Never assume that the one who asks for peace cannot make war. Never underestimate the species that fights not with unity, but with chaos. 100 years later, the 11-hour war was studied in every military academy in the galaxy. Tacticians analyzed it. Historians wrote about it. Philosophers debated its meaning. But among the common people of the cosmos, a simpler truth had taken hold. A proverb that passed from species to species, translated into 1,000 languages, but always carrying the same message. Never corner a human. Never threaten what they love, and never, ever give them time to prepare, because by the time you realize what they are planning, it is already too late. In her office on Earth, now a very old woman, Elena Vasquez kept a small crystal on her desk. It was a gift from the Geller, a piece of their homeworld given in gratitude for the peace she had helped build. When light passed through it, it sang softly, just like the walls of the great hall on Nexera Prime. Sometimes she would sit and listen to it sing, and remember the day she had stood alone before 47 hostile species and smiled. They had expected humanity to be defeated in hours. Instead, humanity had changed the galaxy forever, and it had only taken one small smile to begin. Admiral Kethvorin had never known fear. For 3,000 years, he had commanded fleets that crushed civilizations. He had watched species beg for mercy. He had ordered the destruction of worlds without hesitation. Now, standing on the bridge of the eternal judgment, surrounded by the wreckage of his fleet, he understood what it felt like to be prey. "Status report," he said. His voice was hollow. "We have lost 87 vessels," his tactical officer replied. The younger Korothi's hands were trembling. 43 more are severely damaged. The humans have lost 17 ships, 87 warships, gone in less than 2 hours. Through the neural link, Kethvorin could feel the terror of his remaining crews. The perfect synchronization that made Korothi fleets invincible had shattered. Ships were moving independently, their captains too panicked to maintain mental connection with each other. They were fighting like humans now, and they did not know how. "Admiral," his communications officer said, "we are receiving a transmission from the human flagship. They wish to surrender?" A spark of hope flickered in Kethvorin's chest. "No, Admiral. They wish to speak with you." The main view screen activated. A human woman appeared. She was old by their species standards, with short gray hair and eyes that seemed to look through him rather than at him. She wore a military uniform covered in medals and insignia that Kethvorin did not recognize. "Admiral Kethvorin," she said, "I am Fleet Admiral Sarah Chun of the United Earth Strategic Expeditionary Force." Strategic Expeditionary Force. Those words meant nothing to Kethvorin. His intelligence reports had mentioned only one human military organization, the Defense Force. "I do not know this unit," he said. "No," the human smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "You would not. The Defense Force protects our colonies. They are the fleet you expected to fight. The fleet you studied. The fleet you believed represented all of humanity's military power." She leaned forward slightly. "I command a different organization. We were built for a different purpose. A council has known about us for exactly 0 seconds until this moment." Kethvorin felt cold spread through his body. What are you saying? I am saying that everything you know about humanity is wrong. Your intelligence reports, your tactical analyses, your confident predictions of a 6-hour war. All of it was based on information we wanted you to have. The screen behind Admiral Chun changed. It showed a tactical display of the entire galaxy. Red dots appeared at locations. Keth Vorn recognized immediately. Nexera. Prime, the seat of the Galactic Council. Korathi Prime, his. Homeworld Thornaki, Vrix, Geller, V. Homeworlds of every species that had voted for humanities. Destruction. Those red dots, Sean said, represent vessels of my strategic expeditionary fleet. They have been in position for approximately 3 years, waiting. You are lying, Kethvorin said, but his voice shook. You cannot have ships at our homeworld. We would have detected them. Would you? We have been watching your species for over a century, Admiral. We know the exact frequencies of your sensor systems. We know their blind spots. We know their maintenance schedules. We know when your patrol ships change shifts. She paused, letting her words sink in. We know everything about you, and you know nothing about us. Kethvorin tried to think, tried to find some response. But his mind was empty. Everything he had believed about this war was wrong. The humans had not stumbled into conflict with the Council. They had planned for it, prepared for it, perhaps even provoked it. Ambassador Vasquez, he said slowly, in the Council chamber. She knew. Ambassador Vasquez's mission was never to prevent this war, Chon confirmed. Her mission was to ensure you started it, to make you confident, to make you commit your fleet to attacking us, believing you faced a weak enemy, while you positioned forces at our homes, while we positioned forces everywhere that mattered. Your fleet is 200 ships, Admiral. Ours is 300, plus the defense force you have already encountered, plus the asteroid platforms, plus the automated defense networks, plus weapon systems you have never seen and cannot imagine. Through the neural link, Kethvorin felt his remaining captains receiving the same information. Sensor data from Korathi Prime showed human ships decloaking in orbit around their homeworld. Not attacking, just appearing, demonstrating that they could have attacked at any time. Why? Kethvorin asked. If you had this power, why did you not use it? Why allow the Council to threaten you? Admiral Chun's expression changed. For a moment, she almost looked sad. Because we hoped we would not have to. Humanity did not want this war, Admiral. We came to the stars hoping for friendship, for trade, for cooperation. Instead, we found arrogance, contempt, 47 species who looked at us and saw only primitives to be controlled. We gave you chances, she continued. We followed your rules. We asked for permission to settle in Erebus. You ignored our requests for 50 years. When our people settled there anyway, desperate for homes, you called it a crime. You voted to destroy us. The Expansion Accords were written by species who conquered the galaxy before we existed. Rules designed to keep new civilizations weak and dependent. We tried to work within your system. You refused to let us. Kethvorin had no response. She was right. The Council had never taken humanity's requests seriously. They had laughed at human ambassadors. They had dismissed human concerns as the complaints of children. They had never imagined that the children might be preparing for war. What do you want? He finally asked. I want you to deliver a message to your fleet. And then I want you to deliver a message to the Council. What message? To your fleet, stand down. Power down weapons. Any ship that continues to fight will be destroyed. Any ship that surrenders will be allowed to leave. And to the Council? Admiral Chun's eyes hardened. Tell them that humanity does not seek conquest. We never have. We want only what we have always wanted, to live in peace, to be treated as equals, to build our future without interference. She paused. But also tell them this. We have ships at every one of their homeworlds. We have weapons that can break their planets. We have plans that they cannot imagine and technology they cannot understand. If they ever threaten us again, if they ever try to destroy us again, we will not show mercy a second time. You would destroy worlds? We would defend ourselves, by any means necessary. The Council chose to make us their enemy. They can choose to make us their friend instead, but that is their decision. We have made ours. The transmission ended. Kethvorin stood in silence, surrounded by his broken fleet, his defeated warriors, his shattered pride. Then, slowly, he opened a channel to his surviving ships. All vessels, he said, stand down. Power down weapons. The war is over. Through the neural link, he felt shock and confusion from his captains, but also relief. They had faced something they could not defeat, and now they were being offered survival. One by one, the great warships of the Korathi Dominion went dark, 12,000 light-years away. On Nexera Prime, the Galactic Council was about to receive visitors. Human ships were decloaking in orbit around the crystal world, their weapons powered but silent. A new message was being broadcast on all frequencies, in all languages. The war is over. Humanity wishes to discuss terms. The 47 species of the Council had expected to destroy humanity in hours. Instead, in less than 4 hours, humanity had conquered the entire war, and the galaxy would never be the same.